The soft glow of the iPad lit up my face in the dark guest room. It was almost midnight. The house was quiet. The only sound the faint hum of the old radiator. I hadn't been snooping. I had borrowed Mom's tablet to FaceTime David and forgot to log out. But then a notification popped up, ATM chat. New message from Ryan. I hesitated for a moment, then tapped. She's early again. Ask her for the car repair too. I froze, my finger hovering over the screen as the messages kept coming. Don't push too hard. Let her think it's her idea. If it weren't for Melissa, we'd be bankrupt, but she's too naive to see it. It was from Mom, then, a voice message from Ryan. Just milk it. She thinks we still love her. The air around me seemed to shift. I didn't know how to breathe, how to think. My mind raced back through years of sacrifices, missing birthdays, wearing my worn-out winter coat, covering their mortgage, paying for their meds, Ryan's DUI fines, all of it because I thought I was helping. But now, in a single moment, I realized I wasn't their daughter, I was their ATM. And in that dark room, something inside me quietly snapped. I hadn't grown up poor, at least not in the way people might think. There was always heat in the winter and food on the table. My dad was always working on something, fixing fences, pouring concrete, repairing roofs. Mom stretched every penny, clipping coupons and making dinner from scratch. Even if it was just mac and cheese with hot dogs. We weren't rich, but we were okay. Then, the fall I turned 19, everything changed. I had just received an email offering me a full scholarship to study biomedical engineering at a university out of state, my dream since high school. I remember the exact moment I read the email, sitting on the back porch, my heart racing as if the world itself had opened up for me. But that same afternoon, my dad fell off a ladder while fixing the gutter. He broke his hip, surgery was required, and he wouldn't be able to work for months. Mom came to my room that night, tears in her eyes, holding hospital bills like they were funeral notices. We need you here, sweetie. Ryan's still in high school, and your dad, well, we don't know how long it will take. You're the strong one, Melissa, we need you. I'd always been the one to hold things together, the responsible one, so I let the scholarship slip away. I took a job at a call center instead, told myself I'd reapply the next year, but I didn't. 1 year became 5, then 10. I moved to San Jose, got into tech, worked my way up, but the bills kept coming. Can you help with the mortgage this month? Your dad's prescription isn't covered. Ryan needs a little extra help until he gets back on his feet. Ryan was always about to get on his feet. First, it was a failed music career, then, it was anxiety, then, crypto. He asked me for $5,000 once to invest. I sent it right away. 3 weeks later, he posted a picture of his new gaming setup, treat. He called it, mental health is wealth, he added. I said nothing. I told myself they were struggling, and I was lucky enough to help. Family comes first, right? When David, my boyfriend, asked why I sent $3,000 a month across the country, I gave him the excuse I'd used so many times before. I almost believed it. They need me. What I didn't say was that I didn't know who I was without them needing me, without their constant demands. I felt empty. David never pushed me, but I could see it in his eyes every time I said no to a vacation or postponed plans for a house. He once told me, "You're allowed to live for yourself too, you know." But I didn't know how. Not really. Somewhere along the way, I'd stopped being their daughter and became their lifeline, their fixer, their backup plan, and I thought that made me a good person. I had come to live small. I'd explain it away if anyone asked. 1-bedroom apartment, no vacations, no new shoes unless the old ones fell apart. I meal prepped every Sunday, bought store brand everything, and checked my bank account before filling up at the gas station. But every first of the month, $3,000 vanished from my account and went to them. I told myself it was love. I told myself it was loyalty, but deep down, I knew it was obligation, guilt disguised as goodness. I missed my own birthday once, working a double shift to keep up with rent, sending extra to cover Ryan's therapy dog, which I later found out he gave away because it barked too much. When David's company planned a trip to Paris for top performers, he asked me to go with him. We'd never traveled together. He looked so hopeful. I told him I had a project deadline. I didn't. The real reason? Mom had hinted their car was acting up, and Dad needed just a little extra help. So instead of croissants in Montmartre, I was alone in my dark apartment, reheating pasta and tracking my parents' expenses like some kind of accountant. And the worst part? No one ever thanked me, not once. Ryan sent me TikToks about burnout culture. Mom's messages were all about rent, meds, taxes, electric bills. Dad sent thumbs up emojis. That was it. Sometimes, I wondered what would happen if I stopped. Would they call? Would they visit? Would they even notice? I didn't know, because in every interaction, I wasn't Melissa, I was just a paycheck with a pulse. David tried to talk to me about it once. He said, "You're not selfish for wanting something for yourself." I wanted to believe him, but the truth was, I didn't know who I was without their constant needs filling up every corner of my life. I stopped going out. I stopped seeing friends. I'd RSVP maybe to everything, but never showed. I couldn't remember the last time I laughed, really laughed, without worrying about my bank balance afterward. That's the thing about being the responsible one, no one asks if you're okay, they just keep adding weight until you break. And for a long time, I didn't even notice. I was breaking, though I didn't know it yet. When your entire sense of worth is tied to being useful, you don't notice how invisible you've become until it's too late. It all snapped the night after Christmas. Dinner was over, dry ham, undercooked potatoes, the usual. Mom had gone to bed early with a headache. Dad was half watching a rerun of NCIS. Ryan was holed up in his old bedroom, playing something loud and violent. I was in the guest room, trying to keep the Wi-Fi stable during a FaceTime call with David. Mom had let me borrow her iPad since mine had died, and I'd meant to log out right after. But then a message popped up, ATM chat, new message from Ryan. My finger hovered over the screen. I didn't recognize the group, just 3 names, Mom, Dad, and Ryan. I opened it. The first message I saw was from Ryan. Can we ask for more next month? I want to redo my setup. She'll cave then. Mom, don't be greedy. Wait until she's back in San Jose. Guilt works better at a distance. My chest tightened. I scrolled up. She's early again this month. We should just tell her. We're behind on property taxes. That gets her every time. If it weren't for Melissa, we'd be bankrupt by now. But she's too naive to realize it. That last one was from Mom. Then came a voice note from Ryan, his laughter cutting through the silence. Just milk it. She thinks we still love her. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't process it. I had brought them gifts, handmade cookies from a bakery I could barely afford, scarves for Mom, a new watch for Dad. I even gave Ryan an Amazon gift card because he said he was trying to read more. And now, behind my back, they were talking about me like I was just a tool, a walking, talking transaction. No thanks. No pride. No affection. Just manipulation. Strategy. My heart raced, and the room seemed to close in around me. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay there, staring at the ceiling in the room that used to feel like mine, listening to the wind outside and wondering how I had been so blind. How I had spent years trying to prove my love through numbers, through sacrifices, and how little it had ever meant. The next morning, I packed before sunrise. Mom asked why I was leaving early. I told her work called. She didn't press. No hugs. No warmth. Just a distracted wave as I closed the door behind me. On the flight back to San Jose, I stared out the window, but I didn't see anything. All I heard in my head was that one line from the voice note, she thinks we still love her. And that's when I realized I had never felt smaller. Not when I gave up my scholarship. Not when I turned down the job in New York. Not when I ate ramen for months just to send Ryan money for therapy. This was different. This was realizing that they didn't love me, they just depended on me. This was understanding that I had been used, willingly, lovingly, desperately, and I didn't know who I was without them. But I knew one thing, when I got back to San Jose, I was done being their ATM. When I got home, I didn't cry. Not at first. I unpacked my suitcase, did the laundry, ate leftovers, and sat in the silence, the kind of silence that feels like a scream just beneath your skin. Then, I opened my banking app, clicked into the autopay settings, and deleted every transfer. No announcement. No final speech. Just silence. 2 weeks later, Mom texted. Did something go wrong with your bank? The mortgage didn't clear. A few days later. Is everything okay? You're scaring us. Then came the guilt. We feel like you're punishing us. This is emotional abuse, Melissa. Finally, Ryan. You owe us. You'd be nothing without this family. That one almost made me laugh. I didn't respond to any of it. I just blocked them. Not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. I started therapy. David helped me find someone good. Dr. Sandoval. Soft voice. No judgment. It took 3 sessions before I could even say the word used. I told her about the scholarship I gave up, the years of payments, the ATM chat. She listened, nodded, and then said something I'll never forget. You weren't raised to be loved. You were raised to be useful. And in that moment, something inside me cracked open. Suddenly, everything made sense, the chronic guilt, the fear of saying no, the physical sickness I felt just thinking about disappointing them. I wasn't crazy. I was conditioned. I started going through old memories, and for the first time I saw them clearly. Mom saying, "You're the strong one. Ryan can't handle pressure." It was all so obvious now. I was the one who had to hold everything together, I was the one who had to keep sacrificing. And for what? So they could keep using me without ever giving anything back. And that's when I understood the hardest truth, I wasn't their daughter. I was their lifeline. But I wasn't anymore. Dad handing me bills in silence, Ryan throwing tantrums while I cleaned the kitchen. At 15, I had been the adult in that house, but no one ever noticed, or worse, they noticed and they liked it that way. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was abandoning my family, I felt like I was finally choosing myself. That quiet, the kind I used to fear, it started to feel like freedom. Then the invitation came, gold-trimmed, thick cardstock, addressed formally like a wedding invitation. Join us in celebrating Margaret and Thomas's 40th wedding anniversary, family dinner, formal attire, handwritten at the bottom, in Mom's loopy script, hope you'll come, we're so proud of you. I stared at it for a long time. David watched me from across the room. You don't have to go, he said, his voice gentle, not after everything. I nodded, but I already know I will. I'm not going for them, I said, I'm going to see them see me. The country club wasn't as fancy as it thought it was, plastic chandeliers, bleach-scented linen napkins, and a tired pianist playing Sinatra covers near the buffet. Everyone was there, cousins I hadn't seen in years, great aunts, old neighbors. Mom wore a champagne-colored dress and enough perfume to make me dizzy. Dad had ironed his shirt. Ryan, of course, showed up late, in sneakers. They hugged me like I was royalty. Melissa, we've heard so much about your success. You're the one keeping the family afloat. Your parents are so lucky to have you. Each word felt like a slap. They'd been bragging, not about me, or my heart, or my life, but about what I gave. Dinner was overcooked chicken and watery green beans. David sat beside me, his hand resting under the table. My palms were sweating. Then, Mom stood and clinked her wine glass. Before dessert, I want to say something, she beamed, looking directly at me. Melissa has always been our rock. She's kept this family together, emotionally, spiritually, and well, financially. Laughter rippled through the room. We joke she's our little ATM. More laughter, nervous this time, my blood ran cold. But truly, she continued, we wouldn't be here today without her, literally. I stood up slowly, calmly, my fingers didn't shake. That's funny, I said, because I wouldn't be here either if I knew what you all really thought of me. The room went silent. I pulled out my phone, tapped play. Ryan's voice echoed through the banquet hall, clear and smug. Just milk it. She thinks we still love her. Gasps. A fork clattered to the floor. Aunt Janice muttered, what the hell? I scrolled and began reading the messages aloud, one by one. She's pathetic. Let her think she's helping. We'll sell the house and guilt her into buying it back. Tell her Dad's sick again. Mom's face turned white. Dad stared at his plate. Ryan tried to laugh. Come on, Melissa, it was a joke. No, I said, no, it wasn't. My cousin Lisa stood up, voice shaking. Is this real? Did you really say all this? No one answered. You told me Melissa was spoiled, that she refused to help. I turned to my mother. You built me into a bank. You used love like leverage, and when I stopped paying, you called me abusive. I reached into my bag, pulled out an envelope, and dropped it onto the table. Here's your gift. Inside, a check for $0, 00, and a printed copy of the group chat. I turned to walk away but paused. One last glance. I'm not your provider. I'm not your safety net. I'm not your shame sponge. I'm your daughter, or at least I was. And I walked out. David followed quietly. No one else moved. The only sound behind me was the pianist starting another tired Sinatra tune, My Way. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was finally doing just that. The fallout came fast. 3 days after the dinner, I received a string of voicemails, Mom crying, Dad pleading, Ryan raging. I didn't listen. I blocked their numbers, not out of anger, but in peace. A week later, the group chat screenshots made their way through the extended family. My cousin Lisa sent a simple text. I believe you. I'm sorry. But the most unexpected message came from Aunt Linda. I cut my mother off at 62. You're braver than I ever was. Be proud of yourself. I sat with that for a while, letting it settle in me like warm tea after a long winter. David and I moved into a small condo on the edge of San Mateo, just ours, clean, quiet. Sunlight poured into the kitchen every morning like forgiveness. One Saturday, he surprised me with tickets to Santa Barbara, my first real vacation in over a decade. I cried when I saw the ocean, not because I was sad, but because I finally had space to feel joy. I bought myself a coat, bright yellow, soft, unnecessary, loud. I wore it everywhere. As for them, the house was sold below market. No one wanted it once the tax liens showed up. Ryan works part-time now, still lives with them. They're on state aid. People talk in small towns. The pity they used to weaponize turned back on them. And me? I finally learned something they never taught me: how to live for myself, how to breathe without guilt, how to exist without owing anyone anything. And it feels better than love, because this is mine. Sometimes, I still get the urge to check my phone, to see if Mom's called, if Ryan sent another half-hearted meme, if Dad's finally said something, anything that sounds like remorse. But the silence is louder than any apology they could have faked. Last week, David and I went hiking. Nothing fancy, just trees, sky, and the kind of quiet that doesn't hurt. I stopped halfway up the trail and looked around. No deadlines, no invoices, no one needing me to save them, just me. I thought about everything I'd given them and everything they took. Then I thought about what I'd finally given myself: freedom, peace, and the right to exist without being useful. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm done. They weren't grieving a daughter. They were missing their favorite employee. But I'm not their ATM anymore. I'm me.